Hi everyone, and welcome to the all-new Team Venom Comics Show. Obviously on YouTube, there's been a fair few interviews and stuff that have come up on there, a few videos about my own project and stuff, and they've been doing so well that we decided that instead of focusing on various, we sort of have a nod towards all different areas of pop culture on our website and YouTube, and we've decided that the comic book area is the way for us to sort of push, especially given that my series, my first run is now finished, which I'm quite happy with, and here they are. And obviously Connor, my partner in crime, has just finished doing the first half of it, the preview for yourself, haven't you?
I have, yes. Another Team Venom comic production coming out.
Yes.
Directly involved with yours.
Yes. We're doing like the whole fun intertwining universe thing between our projects without them actually having to tie in, sort of thing. If people haven't read my stuff, they can still read yours and enjoy it, and vice versa. So
yeah, and
whilst having the same connecting themes and stuff. So it's pretty cool, man. I'm looking forward. I've read half of your issue so far that you've the half that you finished, and very much enjoying it.
Thank you, appreciate that.
Yeah, and so what we're going to do for this show, for the benefit of our listeners on Spotify and iTunes and viewers on YouTube, we're going to run through the sort of comic books and stuff that we've picked up this week, a few projects that we've noticed that we thought were pretty cool, and we've also got a special guest who was also the last guest on the YouTube videos from yesterday, because we had Rich Perotta on, who we interviewed about his project Incantesi. It was really good, and he was so kind as to send some copies of it out to both myself and Connor. Mine's arrived today, which let's just lift that up there for it, as well as a copy of his Gangrel comic book. And obviously we're both big wrestling fans, mainly from this sort of era, so it's pretty cool to do that. And he's going to jump on later on in this episode, and just so we can talk about his projects and stuff now that we've physically got them to read. So
yeah, we figured we'd do this in two parts because we're going to be talking about what we've picked up. As Rory knows, I've got quite a stack in front of me. So I feel like if we were to try and get through at least my stack and what you picked up in one episode with three people, it would be a lot. Definitely,
yeah. So I'll just quickly go through the first thing that I want to just bring up before we go through your stack. So, obviously, yesterday morning I put on a video about where I did the unboxing of issues 3 and 4 of the suit, which is my mini series. Again, showing that for the benefit of the camera, all 4 issues in hand. On that video, I mentioned that I got a couple of issues 1 and 2 left over. Within an hour of the video going live, both of those have now sold out. Issue 3, I think I've got 2 copies left for sale. Still got a wedge of issue 4s because there's a lot of return customers that haven't ordered yet for those, but have had 1, 2, and 3. So I've got to send a mailing list out later on today about that. But yeah, so thank you very much for everyone that watched the last video and decided that they jump on eBay and order my shit really quick. So thank you very much. That was awesome. And obviously, that's now the full run finished, which I'm very chuffed with. And moving on to your project, Sins of Limbo.
Yeah.
What can you say about it without giving the plot away?
I mean, I can say a lot about it without giving a plot away because
without giving the plot to mine away either.
Yeah, I don't need to give yours away because it's called Limbo, which is the name of an underworld city, basically the Devil's Playground. Let me find the direct quote for this. I believe it's this one. It might not be that one. I might have lost it, to be honest with you.
Fair. While you're finding that quote, I'll go through what I picked up from my comic hunting this morning. Then, while you're having a look, so there's not too much dead air. I went through. So I went to Birmingham today. Went round the former Nostalgia and Comics, and I picked up some cool stuff from charity shops, namely for a £5, I got Grant Morrison's Green Lantern Intergalactic Lawman, which is the first volume of the relaunch that they've recently done in hardcover. I got a hardback Power Rangers graphic novel for £4 and such. And that was pretty much it for those. Obviously, I've had the pack from Rich come through, which includes a little companion to the Incantesi, which has got all his sketches and things like that on there. And let me just get that better to the thing. So that's pretty cool. And a couple of signed comics off him, of the Incantesi Chapter 1, which I say comic, it's a nice, thick, or it's basically the size of a graphic novel, which is cool. And also Gangrel issue 1, which it's great. I'll just show you a preview of some of the art. We've got Luna Vachon doing a little bit of aerial shenanigans there. And the very last page, which I know we showed in the interview yesterday, is Gangrel's WWF debut from 1998, which looks awesome. So there we go. Anyway, have you found your quote, dude?
I have. This place is quite literally the devil's playground, whether he sits and watches or just feeds off the chaos. Either way, the place is full of the most evil-filled people, if people is what they can even be called, but it's also full of prey. People the big guy upstairs never accepted, and then there are people who are neither, but soon enough, they become one or the other.
Nice. I like the use of the term "big guy" as well. And if anyone's read my series, they'll also see that little nod there.
There is. I think I've sent you 8 pages.
Yes.
In the 8 pages I've sent you, there's quite a few nods to your comic book without being
blatant,
direct.
Yeah. Which works well.
Directly involved with your story. Like the first 8 pages, like I said to you, is literally just setting up. There's going to be 26 pages of a comic book, roughly.
Yeah.
So it's going to be the first 8 pages, maybe 10 at a stretch, where it's just introducing the character in the world. Yeah. Because it is set in a fictional location that isn't just a made-up city, or obviously whereas yours is set in an unnamed city in Earth, pretty much.
Yes, mine's very fast and loose with locale. So just in case we ever decide that we're going to try and do a film of it or anything like that, like a fan film, so that we can just, pick and choose any location.
Yeah. But no, it's been really fun doing it. I wanted to stay in our Venomverse. Probably can't use that because
probably
sounds
can't.
Good for now.
They actually did a Venomverse series as well. So yeah, that'll be another cease and desist from Marvel.
Stutiverse.
Yes. If we just I don't know what we'll call it. We'll figure out something.
I feel like we have to go Suiterverse as the suiters.
Suiterverse, that'll work.
Yeah. So it's within the Suiterverse. It's got nods to this beautiful franchise here, while also being its own entity. I'll
just point out over to your left, I can see issues 1 and 2 framed on the bottom shelf of yours as well. Sorry.
Jokes. The joke's on you. They're not framed, my friend. They're the comics. I think you'll find these are framed.
Beautiful.
Right. I rep them
there on the old wall, and then also there is a run of Marvel, which is from around about 2004. All the X-Men graphic novels, most of which have got Rich Perotta's working. Which is just
I went through after you said of how many of your stuff had Rich Perotta in it. I looked through mine and it's nearly all of them.
Nice.
But anyway, without further ado, we should crack on with
your finds.
Yeah. So the better finds are going to be in part 2, but unlucky. Although, except for this stack, to be fair, this was quite a cool find. To make the preference this, I picked up 20 comics, and it was 20 comics for £10. 4 of the comics in that pile was chosen by my fiance, so she decided to go with things like Hit Girl and Archie versus Predator, because that's still a thing.
So have you got Kick-Ass?
I do not.
I've got a spare copy if you want it sent over. I know that's just a complete aside. That isn't for the benefit of the show. Sorry, but if you need it, I've got a spare one, so I'll fire that.
Yeah, free shit. It's all good. So we'll start with these four, as the ones I'm showing now actually interlink with each individual pal. So one of my favorite shows growing up and spin-offs is Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Angel.
Yep.
And right here, I got
Boom
Buffy the Vampire
Studio
Slayer.
stuff.
Yeah, Boom Studios, issue number 16, created by Joss Whedon. Unfortunately, that name is forever tarnished. But it's good. I've already read all these like when I got them home.
Yeah.
It's just nice to have these things now on my shelf, especially for things like Buffy. I also picked up a edition of Spike because James Masters will forever look like that now.
Yep. Certainly, he's at some Comic Cons in the UK towards the back end of this year, so we'll have to make a trip.
I also got a copy of Angel and Spike.
Nice.
Which is the perfect transition to the final one of this little part, which is Angel.
Nice. They all Boom Studios
right?
ones, or have you got some of the IDW ones in there as well?
All Boom Studios.
Ah, cool.
All interlinked pretty much as well, which is quite interesting. I wasn't expecting that.
They did. This is just I've got my little Peaky Blinders nerd cap on. Basically, I know in the 90s when the TV series was on, there was some loose tie-ins by Titan and such. And then when it finished, both Buffy and Angel both had a final season in comic form via IDW. And then from that, it spiraled into the Boom Studios one, which also sort of followed the IDW stuff as well, and also tied in with all sorts. So, the old nerd cap.
Yeah. Hopping on now, we're going to jump franchises to one that actually makes sense that's in a comic book form. Wolverine.
Nice.
Beautiful. Can't go wrong with Wolverine, especially when it's got my favorite version of Sabretooth on the cover.
Like how your favorite version of Sabretooth is essentially the one that resembles the 90s animated series version of Sabretooth.
Pretty much. Yeah, that's pretty much how it goes. Like that's what I grew up on. Next four.
You also do that thing of hearing Cal Dodd's voice when you read a Wolverine comic.
Yeah.
Friend of the show, Cal Dodd, by the way.
Yeah, friend of the show. I'm not going into these comics because otherwise we'll be here all day if I talked about each individual one. So I'm just going to show. Next we have issue 3 of 6 of House of X.
Nice.
Very, very beautiful comic. Also, see, Cap. He's hip. He listens to ABBA. We then got issue 3 of X-Men. I keep forgetting my cameras.
Nice.
That's fun. Moving on to something different, we've got X-Men. Issue 8.
Just varying it up a bit.
Yeah, and to jump ship one final time for my load, we've got that was issue 3 of X-Men, issue 8 of X-Men. So jumping ship now, we've got issue 9 of X-Men.
Yes.
There was a lot that I could have chose. I was just I wanted to stock up on some series that I didn't have, like those X-Men ones there. When we talk about, actually, I'm going to throw these two in here because no one cares about these really. I just picked them because I could. Fantastic Four.
Yeah,
it's okay.
That's by Dan Slott as well, isn't it? Which is who is awesome. So.
Yeah, and to cap it off, everyone's favorite character in the video game, Ms. Marvel.
Yes. But
don't forget
some awesome stuff.
Breaking Benjamin's new album, Aurora, out now.
Ah, very good.
What year is this?
One thing I want to throw out there about our own comics, and also this Incantesi that's here.
Breaking Benjamin.
No, absolutely no adverts in any of them, which is something that I quite appreciate seeing. I mean, I've not had any. I know you're not planning on any, but things like
that's what you think.
Yeah, I mean things like this where you pick up a Marvel comic and it's full of adverts. And gets watered down and such. And
I got so confused reading one of these comic books. I was like, why is the story changed so much? And I swear to God, it was a 2-page full comic of fucking Snickers.
Yeah, they do Snickers ones. They used to do M&M ones as well. And yeah, Marvel have a wonderful habit of doing that in the middle. So yeah.
Disgusting.
Anyway, man, let's take a quick break, and when we're back, we'll have a special guest in Rich Perotta, who is the, again, writer and artist of Incantesi, and the artist for the Gangrel Vampire Warrior series, and writer and artist for most of that there. Which, as I say, I found out after I'd interviewed him. I picked up one of those after he'd mentioned how long the time period he was in Marvel. And I was like, huh, there's his name straight away. First one I picked up, which also happens to be the one I bought you for Christmas. So, yeah,
It does.
It's pretty sweet. Funny how life turns out. So, yeah, let's take a quick break, and we'll be back shortly with a special guest. Welcome back, everybody, and we are now joined by a very special guest in Rich Perotta, who we did the in-depth interview with over on YouTube the other day. Rich, since then, Connor's checked out your interview and also read Incantesi as well.
Nice.
Because, well, it's just a very good read. So what were your thoughts, Connor, to tell Rich?
I very much enjoyed it. When it comes to
Thank you.
When it comes to comics that focus a lot on character development at the beginning, like you've done very, very well, I must say.
Thank you. Wow.
A lot of the times as a reader, it comes across forced. Like within the first episode, they're trying to make you immediately care about the character, when in most cases it's a build. But the way you've done it I'd say it's genius, to be honest, because the very beginning of it, obviously I'm not going to say any spoilers or anything, but at the very beginning of it, it's almost just looking into, the main character's ordinary life. There's no indication that, I mean, we know because it's the main character, but within the first, like, what are we? Like 10 panels, there's no indication of anything going to come into affect it. And then when excuse me, I'm choking on granola. Then when the events actually happen, it comes in quite quickly, but it still manages to not feel forced, which is really impressive.
Yeah, thank you.
How do you go about focusing on a character's introduction like so well?
I decided to finish my my uni a few years ago, and I decided to change my major because I had enough credits towards that, and I decided instead of an art degree, because I already accumulated experience a lot more than some school would do for me. So I was like, all right, I'll do something else. And I kind of had the feeling that I wanted to do some writing. So I majored in creative writing. And what I did was I took a plethora of creative writing classes, and, classes that had all sorts of authors in the back who were plays and everything, and character development and stuff like that. And the head of my English department, his name is Lee Papa. Well, this guy was a screenwriter for Hollywood. He just decided he didn't want to do it anymore, and he's teaching at a university now. He's teaching at the College of Staten Island in New York City. And being a comic book artist, you tend to get a feel of how the stories build a little bit. I will admit, as an inker, when I first started, I mean, it wasn't just the inking I was doing. I was also noticing the panels, and I was also, seeing how films were developed and how films would progress. One of my favorite directors is Michael Mann. And every single movie that he does, there's always some sort of build with every single character that's there. And he molds them as the story goes, depending on what he wants to do. If he wants to have the character complex, or if he wants to have the character just clear cut, like a villain or a good guy or whatever it is. Not much to do it. The three words that always come to me whenever I think of how to write a story is just show, don't tell. That's it. Show, don't tell. And by showing, I mean in writing the story, let's say there's a scenario where there's two. I mean, I even saw this in the first episode of Invincible, of all things. I thought it was a huge error. I was like, this is really sucky writing. And it's just like, you have two security guards there talking, and one of them goes to the other one. He goes, I mean, I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but you'll get the gist of it. It's like, he's like, hey, Bill, how are things going with you today? Is your son Rory, is your son Johnny coming back from chemotherapy later today in the hospital, blah, blah, blah. And then the other guy's like, yeah, it's going to be really bad. He has all these tests and everything. And then afterwards, I'm going to take him over to see his mother, who also has cancer, but we're no longer married. You know what I'm saying? It's like, let's just keep going. Now, for me, if I'm going to do something like that, you know, the whole theory of show, don't tell. You know, I mean, the two of them will just talk about random stupid crap, you know, like sports, you know, who hit a home run the night before. And then all of a sudden there'll be a beeper reminder, and he'll look, and just by a small change of expression in the man's face, the other guy will go, is it today? He goes, yeah. And then the other person will go, I can't imagine how you're feeling. And he'll go, yeah, I can't imagine how my son's feeling either. But he's brave. And I go, bet your ass he's brave. So when did he get diagnosed? And it's like, 2 months ago, last Tuesday. You know what I'm trying to say? You're engaging the viewer into the story. You're creating an immersion.
Almost like they're part of the conversation.
Yes. I mean, it's like in the beginning of the Incantesi, where you see like her dancing and stuff like that, right? And with the off-panel word balloons, it's like you can hear the word, the instructor. And then in the second page, where she looks over and she's like, you know what, I've really had enough of this. Then she starts doing the goofy shit, you know, putting her fingers in her nose. Yeah. And then you have the other page where it's like you reveal who it is. Like you have the person who's talking, and then you have the oh my God, you're gonna bother me again about this. And then she turned over to her, and then she says something, you know, it's like, you know, I wanted a dance instructor, not a drill instructor. And then she's like, this drill instructor is also, you know, you're this, you're that, you're the other, and all. And, you know, it's further engendering and establishing who these characters are. And you can't rush character development no matter what it is. And I see it in so many things, in comics, movies, television, all that crap. You know, the last time I've ever seen anything that had any good character development was when Catherine Tate showed up as the bride in Doctor Who after what's her face? I forgot her name. I can't believe I forgot. But you know, because it was like a slow build of who Martha this person Jones. Is. Yeah, you know what I'm trying to say? It's like that was among the best writing that I saw for like the later versions of Doctor Who, when David Tennant was the Doctor. Yeah. And I thought it was fantastic how it's like you're introducing, and then you still get an idea of who the character is, because she's doubting him. Even though she's seen all the stuff that he's done, she still doubts him. It's like, did you do that did you say that to the other girl? And it brought it back. And he's like, yeah, I did. But please trust me. So she does. And it works this time. You know, and it's like it's a catharsis as well as a getting to know who the character is, because it's plain that Catherine Tate's character is far different from the girl that was there before. A lot different. And that's how you establish characters by showing them their own individual traits based on their experience and age and everything else. Because you can't get two more diametrically opposed women to be companions to Doctor Who at that point, really. Yeah. So yeah, that's something that I've always wanted to make sure of. It's like you have to develop the characters and who they are as they go along. You develop the core, and then as you're writing a story, you try and put yourself in their place, and then you just see where it goes. And if you think that it'll work one way or another, then you do it. If not, you got to make sure that you're gonna, with whatever change it is, the rest of the story has to follow along with it, because there's always a, you know, it's cause and effect. There's always an action to every reaction. That's really just how it is. It's not so much that it's not difficult. It's just that sometimes it's, you know, for anybody who doesn't write all that much, it's, you just have to really be careful about it. And you have to really, really make sure that everything is crossed. I mean, you have to, once you get to a certain point, like maybe a rising action or even a climax, You got to look back from the climax to the rising action to see if everything makes sense. You know, that's the heart of the story. You know, you have to make sure that you develop everything. You got to give the audience a chance to give a damn about the characters. You know, because I've seen too many comics where it's like immediate. You know, you have all this stuff, and even if you don't have all that stuff, no one goes to explaining everything. I mean, there was one comic that I read just recently that I backed on Kickstarter. It's like, you see the girl, she's a young girl, she's with her dad, and it's the same hokey dialogue. It's like, Dad, do you think I could be this green engineer just like you? Oh, of course, honey, you definitely can. And then about 15 years later, she's in bed with another girl. It went from that to that in like one shot. I'm like, oh, okay. What? it's like, all right, you know, it's all of a sudden, it's like, you know, I mean, it's like you're watching 300 and then you find out that King Leonidas, you know, has a predilection for transgender centaurs. You know, I mean, it's just one of those things. It's just too quick. You can't have anything too quick. You have to let it build. That's why I took the majority of issue 1 and built all the characters, even down to the point where the doctor shows up. You know, it's like he obviously cares about his he obviously cares about his patient, and he's an opera fan or a ballet fan, whatever the hell it's supposed to be. You know, and establishes connecting where he's like, I remember you the last time you performed. You know, giving like a cause and effect thing. So, sorry, that was a lot. Sorry about that.
No, that's. No, not all. You could have kept going, and honestly, it's fascinating to hear you talk about it. I also want to touch on the officers that come in further into the comic book, which then turn into the demon things, the red things.
Mm.
How do you go about? I know it's just an imagination thing, but how do you go about creating, you know, the creatures? Because there's so many. People are calling me. Can't help being popular. There's so many in, you know, comics and movies and, you know, even just novels. When it comes to antagonists that are humanoids or demons, you know, whatever the situation is, quite a lot of the time they look very similar no matter what the thought process is of the individual, you know, artist. Whereas the ones you've done are pretty unique looking, considering, you know, the millions of things that have been drawn by other people. What was your thought process when coming up with these guys?
Well, when it came to that, when it came to what I wanted to do, excuse me, sorry, a little hay fever. When it came to creating a characterization for the Wrath, I didn't really have a form in mind, because I didn't want to give them any type of like heavily exaggerated form or like uniform or whatever the hell it's going to be, because in the origin that I put together, you know, they were discorporated and their souls and their essence was thrown into an extra dimensional prison. So they don't really have any type of like form at this moment per se. And so the one thing that scares humans the most out of anything, that really puts anybody out at ease, is body dysmorphia, like severe body dysmorphia, a discoloration of a human form. You know, I mean, an arm is not supposed to go this way. How are you still able to talk when your jaw is hanging off on one hinge? You know, it's like, I wanted to go for the body horror aspect, because the forces that were the forces of the Wrath, however small, that were channeled through that girl who spilled the coffee on him. You know, it's not direct contact, but she drank the coffee and a little saliva was there. Any type of little tiniest signature of biomatter or something, if it connected with him, it touches his skin, it gives the Wrath the ability to go in there and just possess his body. He was dead the moment that the coffee was spilled on him. That was it. You know, from then on, it was just the Wrath at that point, just using him as an engine. And it doesn't matter. I mean, even if that guy was alive during that whole thing, he would pass out from all the horrible pain, because as you saw, his body was being torn, twisted, beaten, stretched beyond the capabilities of what human flesh could go, you know. And if, as you saw, at least I was trying to do it the right way. You saw his body just, you know, decaying and rotting, and just like it was already broken beyond any type of thing where you can do anything with it when Cassandra destroyed him, you know. So it's as far as it all depends on the character, really. And the Wrath, even though the Wrath are like about almost 200 strong, so it's like they're all one thing functioning together. They're all like a hive mind at this point because they've been trapped together for a few hundred years. You know, it happens. And their only goal is to just destroy things. Their only goal is to kill. Their only goal is to maim, to be free, to do whatever they wanted. Because, I mean, coupled with the fact that they started defending themselves, then they got a little bit crazy. Now, you can only imagine what it must be like to be crammed into a little tiny pocket universe with 200 other souls, and you don't really have any room to move for over 250 years. That will drive you nuts if you don't kill yourself within the first 10 minutes. It's like, this is the insanity that they are, and they do not care how they will get it. They do not care. And that's what I was thinking when I created this, because when I created those characters, because I didn't want to give them any type of shape, because when you have a shapeless form, it's the most horrifying thing, because you can't compare it with something else. I mean, this is the reason why a lot of aliens, and I mean, budgetary reasons, of course, but this is the reason why, one of the main reasons why a lot of aliens in Star Trek or Star Wars are predominantly humanoid or bipedal, at least, or they at least look like creatures that exist on the planet Earth a little bit, but enough to a point where it's like, okay, it's gross, but it's not like really hideous. When you see something that doesn't have a shape that you're recognizing at, and it's coming to attack you, the fear is beyond human comprehension. So that's what I was trying to focus on. That's what I'm going to do with the Wrath. I'm not going to give them any type of specific form that they're born with. Whatever form they have, they will take and assimilate and rot from within, because that's all they are. They're that evil. Whew. Oxygen.
One of the things that me and Connor were speaking about in the first part was I was recommending to him the Gangrel series that you've done, which I've got
yes.
here handy, with the ridiculously cool last panel there, where
oh god, yeah, that was so hot. I was like, yes, I think I have that. I have that piece somewhere, actually.
It's awesome.
Thank you.
We started up with the whole Team Venom thing as wrestling fans, and that's how me and Connor met.
Excellent,
and such. And there's not, over in the UK especially, there's not a lot of market for, there's not a lot of things like this out on the market. I didn't know about this until you introduced me to it yesterday, and it's brilliant for a start. I know you said that you'd done the stuff with Bruno Sammartino with the Rock and Roll Express, and with Sonny Smiles and a few others. Have you got many of these lined up for the future at all? And
it would appear that I did their they're a part of Inverse Press, Square Circle Comics, and they've really just decided to really go for that market because someone else was doing the comics, but they decided to give up all that licensing and stuff and the characters within WWE. So now they're really going for it. And the next one, I don't know if you told Connor, but the next one that I'm going to do relatively shortly is going to be Terry Funk.
Yes, I did tell him on the phone yesterday. I was
Terry
excitable,
Funk.
to be honest.
I can't wait for that one. Oh my God, I can't wait for that one. That's going to be sick. We're gonna have Terry Funk. I was told that they're going to have something that's going to be so lucrative, they're going to jump my pay rate quite a bit. They better do it for this one, because this is Terry Funk. You know, I don't care what they say. And the Gangrel one that was done by Kickstarter it made its goal in about 12 hours. Not even. And I know. And it had I think it had like 15 days. I'm not sure. I have to find the link. But it didn't have much. And they made that goal as quickly as possible, because Gangrel, I mean, he has a school in Florida in the United States. He travels all over to some indie places. He's still ridiculously popular. It's just that he didn't last. He got in at the his character got in before vampire movies came out, that they became fashionable, like Blade, or even Twilight. Barf, so it's like God, Twilight, ew. It's just like, or Interview with the Vampire or something like that. And he got in there, and I don't think they really used him correctly. He could have been really, really nasty. He could have been one hell of a adversary to the Undertaker, especially if he had the Brood with him. Like him and the Brood. I mean, if that was me writing the thing, I would have had them attack Undertaker for a couple of years, and then Kane shows up. Yeah. And then, it's like super bloodbath where you have like the barbed wire matches. That would be horrific, but still, they didn't use him the right way, but he's still popular. I mean, he was in Japan. He did territories all over the United States in the 80s, so it's like, there's always a market for stuff like that. And I'm so glad that they do it, because a lot of these guys, their stories need to be told. All right. I had no idea that when Bruno Sammartino was a baby, he was in Italy towards the end of World War II. And towards the end of that horrible war, the Germans were too busy trying to kill all the Italians, because the Italians were like, screw you, you guys are on your own. We're not fighting with you anymore. We're getting killed here. Yeah. So the Germans decided to turn on the Italians, and a couple of his brothers were killed when he was trying to escape. And his father was already in Pittsburgh, of all places, and he had a rough life because he is Italian. He's Italian. He barely spoke any type of English or anything. He had to learn it the hard way. And the first thing that he ever did when it came to entertainment for money was really just wrestle an ape. That's crazy. Yeah. Really crazy. And it's like the life that this man had, and if I go to Sunny, the girl from the Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling, she was adopted. She drowned when she was a kid, and then she had to be resuscitated. She had a couple of injuries. She got into Glow really late, and she's had a bunch of tragedies that are outlaid into the story. But she still managed to make it, as a wrestler for a couple of years. I mean, she's a good friend of mine. She's gorgeous. Oh my God, she's drop dead gorgeous. She just had surgery for cancer. The same with me, but I mean, different. She had an issue with the colon, I think, and she went for the treatment, and she's good. Now she's good. As far as we know, she's good, and she's been through so much, and, before wrestling, during and after, stories like that need to be told. It's like, they're true romance stories. If you really think about it, it's just like they do so much. I mean, we look at them as heroes, as superheroes or gods, but they're so much more. They're so layered and everything. I can't even imagine what I'm going to find out with Terry Funk. I mean, the guy's probably had more injuries than, a triage unit in some sort of war or something. It's like, I've seen some of these ridiculously hardcore matches he's had with Mick Foley. I mean, you're not supposed to lose all that much. You're not supposed to lose that much blood and survive.
Especially on a regular basis as well.
Yeah, I know. And then it's like, okay, let's do it next week. Yeah, sure, man, let's go. It's like, how do you do that? It's like, you do it for the appreciation of the fans. And it's like, these guys are modern day gladiators without the benefit of actually killing anybody. It's like, people tend to forget that that wrestlers have families. They have people that they love. They get divorced. They lose things. They gain other things. I mean, all the stuff that Jake the Snake Roberts went through. God.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen Beyond the Mat?
Yes. Yeah. It's on my shelf just over here.
You've heard what this man talked about. Oh my God. Crazy. Absolutely insane what he went through. It's like, you hear that, and then he still has, after all that stuff, he still has the capability of being as magnetic and as bold and as powerful as he is with just a gesture, just a look. He doesn't have an Olympian body by any stretch of the imagination. He never did. But the man commanded presence. He always did that. That type of charisma you can't teach. You know, and after all that stuff that happened with him and all the things that he did to himself, he was still able to do that. And every single one of these wrestlers, whether they're there for a week or they're there for 30 or 40 years, they deserve every ounce of respect, because all of us here who are just marks are looking at it. It's like, oh, yeah, I can do that. Yeah, good luck. Good luck. No, 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 no. You cannot. If you get dropped, it's not like it's going to bounce. It's you hit. You hit. It's not easy. I studied judo for a few years, and the floor that we had to land on did not have that much give. It hurt. Now, I wasn't even a wrestler at that point, and I only trained twice a week. Imagine with these guys, they would train every single day till they threw up.
Yeah.
And that's who they are. I have a great respect for wrestlers. I have a vast respect for wrestlers because they hurt themselves in order to entertain guys like me.
Well, thank you very much, man. It's been awesome catching up with you again. We'll wrap this all up and such, but it's been awesome. For the benefit of anyone viewing, there's a full in-depth interview with yourself about the Incantesi project and things like that over on the YouTube channel, and you can also view your streams and live streams where you're usually doing your commissions and artworks and things like that over on the Richness YouTube as well. Right?
If I may,
a cheeky plug out there for you.
I sent you some literature yesterday. I sent you literature. I copied and pasted something off a Word document. Holy shit! Listen to me. There's some stuff. I have a Kickstarter coming up for Chapter 2 of the Incantesi, where I have some of the art. There's the link there. If you can show, if you click on the link, if you click on the green notify me button and you follow it, and if you also like and subscribe the YouTube channel that Rory just talked about, the person who does that will get a free digital copy of the first issue of Incantesi for free. I want you to read the book, but I also want you to see what I do. So if Rory can do that, if he wants to supply that stuff, he'll just post it. Thank you, Rory. I appreciate it, man.
No problem.
And I'm glad you guys got the copies, but I want that signed one back.
We'll do. I'll make sure that comes back to you. So,
and it turns out I have a whole bunch of other. I think I have some Bruno, and I think I have some other stuff. So it's if you want a copy of each, that's fine.
Well, that'd be brilliant. Thank you. So,
no, man, thank you for having me on and let me talk my ears off. I appreciate it.
No, that's fine. Well, thank you to everyone listening on Spotify and iTunes and everyone watching on YouTube. And we'll catch you all later. And Rich, I think I can speak for both myself and Colin and say it's been a pleasure, and we'll happily have you on as many times as you want to.
Ask me. I will be there. I do whatever you want to do. Ask me if I'm available, which I will probably most likely be anyway, because I have a wide schedule. I'll be completely yes to whatever you ask, and the pleasure is absolutely mine as well. Thank you, and I will see all of you cats later, man. All right.